Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 8:35 on Thursday, the 20th of November. Boom, November's gone. At this time of the day, at this time of the week, it can only mean one thing. It is that frontline report from business and property, from the trenches of what the hell's going on. Now, Grifter's with me again, as always. Grifter, have you had snow in the south?
Do you know, I think there's been a little sort of sprinkling on the top of Dartmoor this morning, but a gritter lorry yesterday flipped right over in the lane. So it went to do what it was meant to do, but it didn't do what it was meant to do.
It didn't do it. And there was snow in the capital, and there's 25 centimetres of snow due upon the North Yorkshire moors today. 2 weeks ago, I was wearing shorts. This world's gone bananas. Anyway, House of Property coming to you live wherever you get your podcast. If you like what we do, please comment, please like our posts, and please share us. Grifter's office phone's already going bananas, so you can tell that, as always, we're never alone on this podcast. Grifter, how are you, my darling? And rate your week.
Thank you. Sorry about the phone going off, obviously, live from the coalface. So chilly week, like you said, but an interesting one. So I don't think I've had any offers this last week. So that's a little bit concerning. But it's not concerning because there's still loads of things happening. Because as we all know, there is not a single transaction that's going through at the moment that hasn't got a blip in the road. It hasn't got a deer running into the headlights. It hasn't got someone going, if I don't exchange in 5 minutes, I'm pulling out. So it's a normal market. I'll probably do about a 7.25, 7.25. That's what I do because my heating's broken at home, so I'm having to spend more time in the office because the heating's working in the offices. So there's that. So yeah, just hard work gets it done, doesn't it? Hard work gets the deals over the line. Yeah,
love that. That's good.
Rate your week.
I'm going. It's good. Well, my week's just got better in the fact that you've proven that you are certainly a rural estate agent because there's a deer in the road. Where I'm a Midlands estate agent. I'm going to talk about pothole. Here's your phone again. Look, you are popular. So that could be your first sale for this week. Yeah, actually, do you know what? We're very lucky. Touch wood. The market has been performing. We, as a team, called this September in the ice yesterday. It feels as busy as a September should do because our September was dreadful. So we're switching September and November around. So I'm going to go in with a solid 8. Solid 8. I'll take an 8 this week. But it's it's a funny old game at the moment. It always is. All hands to the pump on the pipeline, trying to get as many deals over the line. I feel, and I don't know if this is right, and no disrespect to my conveyancing colleagues, maybe they'll put a post on to tell us what's going on, a comment to tell us what's going on. And I kind of feel that there are the ones that are going to complete before December are being concentrated on. Before Christmas are being concentrated on. Those that don't have any chance at all of completing before the 19th of December are just being parked. And we'll deal with you on the 5th of January. And it's frustrating that.
And I've just started to see those little email footers changing, to say we will be closed from the 2nd of December. No, I jest. It's not that early, but it certainly feels that early. And obviously, you're indicating that no transactions are going to take place. The last day for exchanges or completions leading
19th up mainly. 19th.
Yeah, but some are a bit earlier, and that is quite early. Yeah,
it is. I think so. So usual problems, but all hands to the deck on the pipeline. Lots of stress in there, and I understand it. My goodness me, very valuable to get those pipelines through at the moment.
Absolutely. So we have got the budget, obviously, just kind of over our shoulder. It's that little monkey up there saying, "Oh, is it going to be good? Is it going to go bad?"
She is a little monkey, isn't she? Hey, Rachel account.
But I saw a headline this morning from the negotiator saying listings hit 1.5 million so far. We all know there's headlines and there's headlines, isn't there? And it's saying buyer activity remains resilient, which is fantastic. This is from 20EA. So it's saying that suppliers are all of those jazz. But then it also says, and I'm scrolling down, so it says 1.5 million properties. But I thought I'd read, and I can't think and see it now, about the price reductions. Yes, price reductions have now exceeded 1 million this year, a 14% rise on 2024. So, Martyn, is there still that stigma when you have to list a property and then bring it down in price.
So I think that's getting less and less. Maybe estate agents are realising, but you can't blame the budget and the market for that. That's just, I was going to say a word then. That's just shocking estate agency. You know what I mean? Yes, if some clients want to try it a bit higher, I get all that. But you had 2/3 of properties have been altered in their guide price to try and stimulate more interest. Well, that's not telling the whole story, is it? You know, you got to, as an agent, you got to get out there and do a bit more than that. That's pretty poor, isn't it? That gap was big in the summer.
Yeah, but we can come back to that because we've got a little sort of a sweetener at the end about hacking the portals, which is about price reductions and all those little sort of secret tips and tricks that some people know about and some don't. And we've been going through, and you knew some, and I didn't know others, and vice versa. But we wanted to kind of talk about supercharging or using AI, because it's actually it's like a can of worms, isn't it? You know, and it's like the instructions you give AI are quite important. So, and I've read a really good article this week. It actually came on an email. It's a person called Kim Commando, and it's an AI email I get twice a week. And they came up with this sort of really cool kind of thing, and it's basically called an AI sandwich,
which is good, but it makes me feel like a McDonald's. I keep thinking of McDonald's or something that beef sandwich. I saw this on James Martyn at the weekend when I was watching that. He did this huge, great beef sandwich with grilled cheese and all things like that. Basically, that's an Grifter.
It's kind of like that. So so AI is a really big, scary thing, and people go, "Oh, I've done AI," and they go, "Reply to this email, help me put a Rightmove description together." And quite frankly, it's really rubbish. It's not showing your tone of voice. It's not going into all those things. And you go, "Oh, that'll save me time," but actually, it could save you even more time if you put the right things in, because it's learned technology. So, you know, we've all kind of typed in, haven't we, into chat, and it's spat out something that just sounds utterly rubbish. Yeah.
Absolutely. I find this a lot because we use Gmail for emails. And if you type an email and you put in there polish and ask it to rewrite it, it doesn't take any instructions. It just takes its own opinion on what you've written. And the tone and the context can be completely wrong. Often it reverses it. There's a few that just don't do it very well. I suppose it's a little bit like, make it an estate agency. It's a little bit like giving the keys to the right team member to go and do a viewing rather than just the Saturday person that just opens the door and plays on the phone and lets people wander around. You've got to give people the right, or you've got to give it the right. I think you've got to look at, I see, and I was having this conversation with my 17-year-old stepdaughter this week, that for me, chat is like having another person there. You've got to treat them like a person. So educate them, coach them, and give them clear direction. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, sometimes we use it, don't we, for a Rightmove description. And basically, you know, it gives you that nestled in a sought after location, which you want to go, or property has spacious living accommodation. We want to kind of move away from that. And that's really AI's way, isn't it, of saying, I've got nothing. And that is why I really love this idea from Kim Commando, because it's called the AI sandwich. All right. And honestly, I think it changes everything for estate agents.
Okay, so tell me about how it exactly works.
Okay, so the idea is you've got the top of your prompt as the sandwich, and the idea I thought is that she's broken it down because everyone can relate to a sandwich, whether that's a McDonald's, a cucumber, one with the crust cut off.
Again, you show your poshness compared to me. Shut the front door.
Right. So the idea with AI, okay, we're trying to be really, really basic because it can be really confusing, is you tell AI what you want, but you have to give it a role. And this is where I think a lot of people go wrong. And this is where we went wrong, wasn't it? Until we started using this kind of sandwich technique. And you start with the task instead of the job. Okay.
So I'm trying to think. So are we saying that if you are writing a valuation report or a property advert, then you start it with saying, be an expert estate agent with 10 years experience in properties in Devon, or be a creative writer specializing in writing properties for property descriptions that work for encouraging inquiries through an estate agency, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So instead of kind of saying to it, write me a vendor update, because it knows you a little bit because you've trained it a bit. So instead of saying, write me a vendor update, you kind of start with, you are an experienced estate agent who writes clearly, confidently and warmly, and instantly the output changes. So what you get changes, right?
Yeah. Okay. So that's, again, comes back to making sure that you're giving the right instructions to people to make sure that it's the right person doing the right job and treating it, giving it a clear understanding of what their role is in this situation.
Yeah. So that's your bun at the top. Okay. So now we're going to go on to the meat. Okay. So that's the actual information. So that's your notes, your valuation summary, your email from the vendor, your screenshots, that sort of thing.
So it's not a psychic. It can't read your mind. You give it a load of baloney, it's going to turn out a load of baloney. You got to give it its clear instructions on what to get.
Yeah, because you can't get magic from giving it absolutely nothing. So for example, you could give it your notes, even your kind of like messy handwritten ones. So I've got a diary that I kind of write notes in. I went to a client a few weeks back. It's a landlord client, and we were going through all the things, what she was expecting from me, what I needed from her, and it can turn it into something polished. So what I did was I uploaded those notes, and it can read a photo, a document, and it can pull everything out, and you tell it what you want. Yeah.
So it's a little bit like making a Victoria sponge cake, just putting all the ingredients together and expecting it to look like Mary Berry's been round with a soggy bottom.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to go on to the source. So the source is like the command bit. Okay. So then once you've done this, you tell it what you want. Okay. So you kind of rewrite it, you summarize, that sort of thing. So it might be you want to create a WhatsApp message. So this is your command, what you want for it. So turn my notes, those notes I mentioned about, turn my notes into a strategic document to create a follow-up email for my client. And make it sound less formal, make it sound like a really good follow-up to our meeting.
Okay. So it's sort of, the source is actually the instructions to do the job. So you've got the role, you've given them the information. Now the source is, what do we want to get out of this? What do you really want? So is it a draft email? Is it exactly what? Process the information.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then the bottom of the bun is like the constraints. Okay. So, and this is like my favorite bit. So this is where you kind of stop it from going weird. Yeah.
Yeah, because it does go weird and say some cracker stuff, doesn't it? You know?
Yeah. So this kind of constraints, the bottom bit, it protects you. So things like keep it under 100 words. So our title of our shows, sometimes they have to, for LinkedIn, be less than 75, not words, characters. The Rightmove summary has to be less than 300 characters, not words. Otherwise it drops off and you don't get the effect on Rightmove. We'll come on to that. So it's no jargon. You might say, write it in a friendly tone or as a WhatsApp message, because we know when you put stuff into AI, if you give it the bottom bit and it will say, I can write this as WhatsApp. Do you want it as an email, as a telephone conversation? What do you want to do? That sort of thing. Yeah.
So this is interesting because I have noticed recently that I've typed in so many times, have a professional yet friendly tone, that AI has learned that this is my tone and has looked at the alterations I've asked it to do and it now calls it a Martyn tone about an email, which I think is very, very clever. Also, other things that I think are really interesting at this constraints point is putting across the fact that the audience, if you're doing a blog, for example, that it is a British audience, so that it uses British English and British grammar. It also takes away some of the overly descriptive and positive words. I always ask it, is now learned not to put those little dashes in. I always think those little dashes show that it's AI. So giving that sort of character, that sort of instruction at the bottom part of the bun, prevents it. And actually, the more you do this, the more it will learn and the easier it will get.
Yeah. So that's your source bit, that's your command, isn't it? And then the bottom of the bun, which is your constraints. And this kind of like AI sandwich, it's brilliant. Price reduction script with a client, a marketing plan. Oh my God, clients love a marketing plan. They want to know what's happening. And as we know on previous episodes, agents just aren't giving them. Hope's not a strategy. You can put something together. I wouldn't go as far as sort of saying drafting terms and conditions, because that's quite, but more marketing stuff, writing pitch packs, all of those things to really enable it, but just keep thinking of your sandwich.
Yeah, I love that. So what are you using AI for? Let's give the listeners some actual, we use it all the time, yeah? And it's amazing to think that 2 years ago we weren't doing this. And actually, we were saying as a team this week, the stuff that we wouldn't have the time to do. So if you were listing some of the things that you use AI for, what are you using? Tell me.
So I am using AI to summarize, like I said, my market appraisal. So I will scan in. I use paper, unfortunately. I scan in on the back, so I'm not giving any of the personal data away at all. And I scan in to AI, and I usually use chat, and I use Claude for more for longer marketing stuff. Okay, and I have also used Canva too, because that's really good. The AI prompts, what you can do there, but that's like a different thing. So, and the kind of like the AI sandwich prompt might be something like, I'm a friendly, professional and experienced estate agent. Here are my notes from today's appraisal. Can you turn these into a summary of what I need to go back to the client with in a confident and proactive fashion? And please keep it under 500 words.
Yeah, I love that. That's perfect. Is it? And just other things that I quite like about it is, one of the things that I hate doing, when you're doing your write-ups, is the bullet points. Bullet points are very boring to read and produce, but you need them for your portal advertising, right? So I will put the write-up that we've done into chat, and then ask it to create 6 bullet points that will really hook potential buyers in to view this property. And it means it pulls it all up for you. And if they're too long, then we can get it down to the right number of characters for Rightmove, etc.
I've got a really good one. So obviously we're finding at the moment that stock is sticking, and when stock sticks, a vendor goes, oh, well, I'm not going to blame the market, I'm going to blame the agent. So there might be a bit of hopping of estate agents, that sort of thing. So I've got AI to write me a guide to breaking up with your estate agent and how to do it properly. Okay, and that's really cool, and people like that. But I also use it, and I'm sure our listeners do as well, is I will take the current brochure and I will pop it into AI. And I will go, I am a professional estate agent. Client has come to me. There's, haven't managed to effect a sale. Could you review the attached brochure? Could you tell me what we could improve upon, whether these are professional photos, whether a brochure has been created using AI? What are the personal touches? What else could we do? And it produces an absolutely cracking summary of the marketing. And do you know what it also does, Martyn? It also tells you if that brochure has got spelling mistakes, because believe you me, even when we're in this good game and we've got spell check, and we've had spell check for probably 30 years, brochures still slip through the net. And then on that basis, I would say, yes, you can use AI, but there is nothing like a member of your team who's really good and studious at just going through and doing a little copy check and a spell check and a visual of a brochure before you go to print, because we're only human and these things happen.
I think also we rave on about this and we love it, but the one thing that we must remember is that if every estate agent's doing this, you can't lose your authenticity. So even though AI will learn your tone, and it's brilliant and it saves you time, I always say it gets you 80% of the way there. You need to make it humanized, because if you lose your authenticity, you're done for. Absolutely done. You blend into the crowd. You've got to stay true to you and your personality with an estate agent. So a little bit like a plumber turning up with his or her toolbox to sort the boiler out at your house because you've got no heating. They'll have a number of tools in the box and they pick the right one for the job. It's exactly the same with AI. It's not the same. The plumber doesn't use the same spanner for every job. The plumber uses the right spanner for the right job, and it's exactly the same with AI.
So, and you can tell it off if it doesn't get it right. You can say, no, try harder, do it better. So our kind of key takeaway then is that AI isn't going to replace agents, but agents who know how to use AI using this AI sandwich will absolutely outperform the ones that don't. or you'll get
Absolutely.
your time back. Yeah.
It's the time thing. It's the time thing. The time makes such a difference. Just, if you've got a difficult email to write, or you've got, I had a big chunk, 70% of my valuation report is the same for every client. It talks about the things that we do and what our USPs are, and then I top and tail it and personalize it. But I went to a property the other day, and I'd been to see them early on in the year, and I asked chat to take out the report I'd done previously, add these bits in, and then rewrite it so that all the same information was in there, but as though the reader didn't recognize it from reading it 10 months ago. And that's the thing that just happens in minutes or seconds, rather than you writing a whole new email as you would have done in 1998.
Yeah, I like that. So I'm really enjoying this AI sandwich, breaking it down, makes me hungry every time I think about it. And credit again to Kim Commando for this sort of really cool framework. Really like that. Really like that.
Grifter, we've not got long left. I don't want this podcast to go on for, because after it gets to 25 minutes, people get a bit bored of podcasts. So those that do it for an hour, unlucky. But I do. We did promise at the top of the show to rattle through some Rightmove hacks. And I think this is really, really good. So we've got a list of things that we've compiled, and we're happy to, if people get in contact with us, to talk and share some of this stuff with them. But let's just go. I think we've got 6 hacks, and we've got 5 minutes. So let's do less than a minute a hack. Crack it.
Okay, cool. Right. So this is the difference between kind of like a listing that flies and one that flops. So it's often in the detail, isn't it? So, and some of these our listeners will know, some you knew, some I didn't, all of that jazz. So first one is the Rightmove pricing brackets. Now I'm not sure, and this is kind of like this might take longer because I don't know. I thought this was just a marketeer's thing that they come out and they tell agents. And anyway, so what this means is the biggest mistake that agents make is about pricing off the bracket. Okay, so if you've got 349,950, you will only appear in one search bracket. So, but if you put your property on at £50 more, so 350,000, it will appear in 2 price brackets.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in this. I know that you're not quite as strong with me on this. You think that £499,950 is better than 500,000, and I must admit it becomes a bit of a problem when it jumps from 25,000 increments to £50,000 increments. It comes in at 550,000. But I fundamentally believe that if you've got a house on the market at 400,000 and it's getting everything from 390 to 400 and 400 to 410, you are going to get more people. I don't believe that this is utter baloney like the Rightmove Boxing Day bounce. This is factually getting more people, because actually the annoyance is, and why I think it's changed, is that it is no longer a free market of pricing property. Rightmove dictate how we are going to. They control exactly 100%. Because you're right, the 999 theory for marketing a product is far superior than Rightmove. But and with the whole wider world, but with such a lot of people searching for property on one website, then the pricing brackets do changes, I believe.
Okay, all right, and then when we're reducing on that same kind of pricing brackets, don't just shave a little bit off, so reduce into the next bracket. So I do that. Okay. So 365 should go down to 350, which should have a massive exposure and a difference, but 365 to 359,950 does absolutely nothing. You might as well not have a price reduction.
So I'm going to roll in our hack number 3 into that as well. So do you know what the percentage difference is in price reduction for Rightmove to recirculate it out as an alert?
Yes, it's 2%.
Absolutely right, 2%. But does a 2% price reduction in today's market make a meaningful impact?
Absolutely not.
100%, in my opinion. So those agents, I see so many properties that are just reduced by 2%, or a client say, well, I just need to reduce by 2%. If you've got a £1 tin of beans, it isn't going to sell at 98p. It might sell at 95p. So I would suggest, and my old senior partner would just say to me, and prices were lower then, that a 5% price reduction is where you need to be to make an impact in the marketplace. Not 2%, but the Rightmove hack is 2%.
But that again is Rightmove controlling the narrative of the price reductions, isn't it?
100%, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the blend we've got to work in. So question for you, Grifter, again. We talked about this last week.
Yeah.
That properties that are coming off the market and relaunching are increasing the chances of sale massively compared to just ticking on the market for weeks and weeks and weeks. I think it was a difference between 45% and 14%. Mm-hmm. How long does a property have to be on the market before it's counted as a new listing according to Rightmove? Or they recirculate it out as a new listing without the date at the bottom?
Okay, so that is 14 weeks, I believe, and then they'll treat it as a completely new listing.
Absolutely. And when is 14 weeks from this week? The week after February half term. So it seems like a perfect time to relaunch if you're going to give a property, it says top end of the market, subject to what Rachel and Account says next week. Perfect time to be resting and relaunching after your half term.
Okay, right. So my next one is the photo strategy. Now, whilst you think it's obvious, this one didn't actually kind of find clarity in my eyes to begin with. And I was like, oh, of course it is. So the first 3 photos matter more than the next 12. Okay. And the reason for that is because on mobile, the first one decides the click and the next 2 keep them scrolling.
I think that's spot on. The other interesting part you put in there is that is more important than the next 12, which means that 14, 15 is the absolute maximum. Rightmove suggests. Yes. I mean, they will be able to see, won't they, when and I see so many listings with 30, 40, 50 photos. One, I'm interested to see what's in those 50 photos, and I get bored after 35. So, and it seems crackers. So, firstly, photographs are important and no more than 12 to 15 for optimum interest. I like that. Brilliant. The next one I don't use, which is one for you. Okay. So you're going to have to talk about it. Keyword logic.
Keyword logic. So having attended a conference with Rightmove there, portals, like Rightmove and Google love keywords. So we have our keywords, don't we, struck across our Facebook pages, our blog posts and our website, but we don't do this on our Rightmove listings, okay? We love a bit of fluff, yeah?
Yes, absolutely. So you've got to get the list.
Yeah. So basically, buyers type into Rightmove certain search terms, okay? And I think annex is top of the list, multi-generational living. This list is available from Rightmove. We've got it. Let us know if you want it. And it's what buyers type in that you need to put into your listing details, not what we find poetic, like period cottage, Dartmoor Edge, charming, that sort of thing.
You mean nobody's ever written into Rightmove that I am a discerning purchaser that wants spacious accommodation? Okay. One thing that Rightmove have said right from the day dot, refresh your listings after 14 days. You go onto your property report in Rightmove Plus, it actually has a little exclamation mark saying that when it needs refreshing. So that's photographs, that's write-up.
It's actually called a health flag. Yeah?
Oh, is it? Okay, it's got a name.
Flag.
So adding, changing photos, adjusting the bullet points of the headline, making those things just fresh. And actually, when you do see the little graph of activity, it does often peak when you change things, doesn't it? And it is a useful tool just to send out to people.
Right, so really quickly now, so fall through properties, and again, I don't think you knew some of this and I knew some of it, we didn't all know the whole thing. So this is your secret weapon. Now, unfortunately, we all have properties that fall through. We need to understand the fall through promotion. So basically what it means is when you switch for a fall through back to sold subject to contract to available, you can't just hope for the best. What Rightmove can do is they will push it out with a back on the market alert to buyers, but only if you ask. So you need to message support and say to them, please resend this out. It's a previous sale that fell through. Okay,
so Rightmove is probably one of your biggest costs, one of your biggest assets, and one of your biggest enemies, all in the same way. So you got to make sure that you use it properly and you get the best out of it. And I suppose that's what their account managers are there for.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well
so
done,
this is basically a cheat sheet for you. You can do lots with the stock you've already got, and you can use AI properly.
If you want that cheat sheet, let us know. Grifter, just before we go, where do fruits go on holiday?
I don't know. Where do fruits go on holiday?
Paris.
Do you know, we're on an upward trajectory here with these dad jokes. I'm liking it. I'm liking it.
I just get it up for Christmas. Imagine what it's going to be like in my house. Shut the front door.
Right, so that is today's masterclass done, okay? And if that hasn't given you like at least 10 things to do, then you haven't been listening. Usually we'll say grab a pen and a paper. Our checklists are available for download. Now I do my best to get these out as quickly as possible. It doesn't always happen because very, very busy. But we've got the AI sandwich checklist. We've got your portal checklist. Thank you for joining us. Go and refresh your listings and eat that sandwich. Have a great week.